our film today is set in an unknown time in an unknown part of space after Earth has been destroyed. And Damon and his teenage daughter C don't have the most loving relationship, and they are stuck within the confines of a spaceship pod due to the destruction of Earth. And humans have discovered space travel, and they're crossing the galaxy in a rather old-fashioned looking spaceships. And C and Damon seem to be living hand to mouth, but they make do by searching for a rare material that helps them pay off their loans and spacecraft leases. And we first witness C listening to some wild music, gazing out of the window, scribbling something in her notebook. And while sitting in an otherwise stark room, establishing her need for escape from her present surroundings, she later confirms that she writes in her notebook as a means of escape. And her father Damon relies on an alien drug-like substance, and he administers this narcotic eye drops to himself before bed. And he also chews on some kind of narcotic gum. And their financial situation has been deteriorating, and C's mother had died when she was older, so her father takes care of her and they're alone. And C wants to go back to Chimeria, where her family lived when her mother was still alive, but the sad reality is she needs to embrace her nomadic lifestyle now, because there's nothing to go back to. And Damon is a professional treasure hunter, and he thinks that their luck is about to change. And he's teamed up with a group of mercenaries to excavate a massive depot of material at a location called the Queen's Lair. And their cuts will allow the pair to leave the prospecting life behind. And Damon was given the task to bring the precious diamonds from the alien planet, and the diamonds were called oracles. And Damon has no other way to overcome his shortage of money, so to make their financial conditions better, he signs the contract. And the oracle diamonds were very precious in the market, so if he manages to get them, they're gonna be set for life. And Damon mentions a few pointers on how to extract the alien gems. And he also establishes that making a mistake is very dire because it will destroy the gem. And the next day, the two arrive on the surface of a moon that's covered with poisonous spores, but only after their landing pod suffers a technical malfunction during their descent, which cripples the lander, and the pair touch down some distance away from their planned prospecting site. But luckily, they were all safe and didn't sustain any injuries. And the moon has breathable air, but it's saturated with poisonous dust that will kill anyone breathing it. And prospectors need to wear full body suits and breathe through filters. The duo then begin traveling on foot, and they come across an abandoned dig site. It was the location of where the precious gem, the precious oracle gem, was buried. And Damon was a professional in this matter, and after he cut a fleshy substance with excellent precision, Damon extracts the precious gem, and the diamond was very precious and beautiful. And this one diamond they extracted can clear off and pay all their loans and debts, and after getting the diamond, C wants to head back to the pod to not miss the slingback. The slingback is like their trip back to wherever they came from. So she asks her father to go back from here, but Damon tells her that this is not enough. And the contract he signed clearly states that he needs to get even bigger gems before he goes back. And so they continue their journey. And the more oracles they get, the more their life will change forever. And if they do manage to get all of the oracles that they can, they'll be set for the rest of their lives. And the pair set out again as they hear voices in the forest. And they encounter two strangers on their path, a smooth talking prospector Ezra and his very silent companion Uruf. And the two strangers also come in search of the oracles, and they've been stranded here just like Damon and C. And the two of them seem very shady right from the start, and sure enough, things quickly go downhill from there. And their plan was, Ezra and his companion Uruf knew about Damon's presence, and their plan was to take him down and escape in his spaceship while hijacking it. And Ezra and his partner hold Damon at gunpoint, but to save his life, Damon suggests an encounter offer that they join forces. And Damon explains that he's been contracted to assist a group of mercenaries who stumbled upon the legendary Queen's Lair, a dig site of extraordinary value. And Damon suggests that rather than digging for the mercenaries, Ezra, his companion, and Damon can work together and take the entire dig for themselves. And this was a huge deal for Ezra, since only Damon knows about the address of this place, and also cause this seems like a deal which is really hard to pass. And so, Ezra takes the deal. But Damon's plan was to take them out with C's help on the way. And C, who's been hiding throughout this encounter, ambushes the two hostile prospectors with a rifle, allowing Damon to take a weapon from Ezra before he took him and his partner hostage. Damon then snatches Ezra's gun from him and he tries to rob him. Ezra starts begging Damon and he tells him that what he's doing is wrong. But Damon has also become so greedy that he wants to kill Ezra at this point. And as Damon was attempting to kill Ezra, his partner attack him, and the pair shoot each other, and Ezra's partner is killed, and Damon is mortally wounded before being executed by Ezra himself. And C, terrified by what she saw, runs away to her damaged ship lander. She sits in her spaceship immediately, and she tries to start the spaceship, but the spaceship was damaged, and now she's stuck. And she knows that if she tries to escape, Ezra will kill her, so she stays inside the spaceship, and she's not sure how many days she can live here since she ran out of food and water quite a while ago. And Ezra tries to get inside her ship, but C wounds him in the arm with her rifle, and she takes him prisoner. And Ezra was badly injured, and he asks her for a medical box since any wound can be dangerous on this planet. But C wants something else. She wants to take revenge for her father's death. And Ezra explains that if she kills him, she won't be able to go anywhere from here, and he can help her since he knows a way out of the forest. And he also warns her that if aliens find her, they'll kill her mercilessly. And C doesn't seem to trust him, since he killed her father, of course, but Ezra reminds her that it's her father who started it, and he died because of his own greed. And C thought about it and understood what he said, and she decided not to kill him, and she puts her gun away. And she also gives him the medical box, and Ezra treats himself. And Ezra then suggests that they follow Damon's original plan and aid the mercenaries in exchange for a passage on the mercenaries' ship. And C reluctantly agrees, and the pair set out for the Queen's lair. But C was very suspicious about Ezra, and she was following him while putting him at gunpoint. And moving forward to their journey, C understands that Ezra is not really a bad person, and their trust gradually starts to grow. But the bad news is, Ezra's wounds has become infected now, and the poisonous spores in the atmosphere are now in his bloodstream. And if he doesn't treat it soon, his entire body will be infected, and he'll die a horrible death. And this moon has its own natives called Stater, and they live in isolated societies, and they have a completely distinct culture from those visiting prospects. And there's this juice created by these locals that apparently heals the infection of the spores. It may not remove it completely, but it will certainly help. And when Ezra and C stumble onto their territory, Ezra's behavior is to walk on eggshells and be very careful. But the natives are also open to another form of trade. And so, after they approach them with the intent to trade for medical treatment, the villagers were up to something else, and they offer Ezra more valuable oracles in return for C. And they explain that they have no females in their generation to grow babies, and if they don't do anything about it now, their generation will soon go extinct. And as Ezra asks the details of this offer, C decides to flee the village, and she tries to make an escape. And she was wandering around in the forest alone, and it became very difficult for her to survive as she didn't really have a lot of supplies. And after wandering the planet alone, C runs into Ezra again, and she finds Ezra in the worst condition possible because the villagers refused to give him the juice because she ran away. And the infection was gradually spreading in his body, and there's only one treatment for this at this point, and that is to cut off Ezra's arm. And C felt very bad seeing Ezra in this condition, and she helps him cut off his arm. And Ezra sacrifices his arm while bearing the pain without any anesthetics, and he's understandably very disturbed by the teenager's utter calm demeanor as she amputates his infected arm with a bone saw. And the pair set out once more as they talk about each other on the way, and the more they bonded and talked about their lives, they started to become friends as well. And C starts opening up to Ezra, and she tells him about her favorite book based on a group of friends called The Streamer Girl, which is a young adult novel. And she lost her copy of the book, but had read it so many times that she was able to write the storyline on her own journal. And her father, Damon, always told her that reading and writing the same book again and again was a waste of her time, and instead she should just use that time to build some life skills. And C starts to admit that she feels guilty, and says that if she'd heeded her father's words, then he might still be alive today. But Ezra tells her not to go down that dark and twisted path, as looking back to the past and feeling regret is the worst thing that somebody can do. And instead, he actually takes responsibility for the incident. And by nighttime, they reach the aliens' camp, the Queen's lair. And C and Ezra discover that the aliens have imprisoned a lot of prisoners in a glass box. And Ezra assumes her dead father's identity, and in exchange for his talent, bargains for a spaceship that will take him and C out into the orbit. And the mercenaries are quite opposed to this plan, and they tell the pair to stick to what was agreed upon. However, Ezra doesn't really back down easily, and he politely threatens them to come up with a solution for the problem. And there was an argument between the aliens, but later their leader agrees. Following which, Ezra and C head to the dig site. And unfortunately, having amputated his arm before, Ezra was unable to retrieve the gem successfully. In fact, he botches both attempts, which makes the guard very suspicious. And to try to salvage the situation, C takes charge, and she tries to apply whatever her father taught her. She tries her hardest to retrieve the gem, but unfortunately, she also fails in the process and she destroys the gem. And before the mercenary can get the attention of his colleagues, Ezra and C attack the man and they kill him. But the problem is they don't really have any place to hide his body. And unfortunately, reinforcements do show up, and C remembers what her father told her. He mentioned that if the chemical agent used to cut the gem touches the alien meat, it will cause a tremendous explosion, and thus C creates a distraction so that they can take cover. And the army of aliens start chasing after them, and before Ezra can launch his attack on the enemy, an alien mercenary stabs him out of nowhere, injuring him severely in the process. But Ezra was able to kill him, but they still didn't really have any place to escape. And Ezra tells C to grab the gun and hijack an alien spaceship and escape alone without him. And C doesn't like that idea and she disagrees because she doesn't want to abandon her new friend that was actually the cause of her father's death. And Ezra demands that she moves alone and he starts to fight the aliens on his own. And at the same time, C changes her decision and she goes to the alien camp to bring some medical boxes. And the prisoners were released now, but they're blind, so the opportunity presents itself where C can bring the medical box to Ezra as the aliens were distracted. And C tends to Ezra's wounds, and following this, the two make their way back to the pod where they see a man covered in pink powder attack one of the mercenaries. And finally, the two manage to escape after stealing a ship, and they're now in the orbit. And after all the chaos and madness that ensued, once C finally realizes that they're safe, she finally smiles and the movie ends. I hope you guys enjoyed our recap. Remember to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, like the video. I'll see you guys on the next recap. Bye.